I'll give you batch 1, about 800 words, first so the pacing remains strong and the total story reaches the requested 600 plus words across 2 batches. Writing, variant equals, document, ID equals, 61842, the suitcase slipped from Amina's hand and hit the ground with a dull thud. For a moment, she just stood there outside the massive house she had paid for with years of sweat, tears, and sleepless nights. Her heart pounded. This was it. The test. The lie. The truth she had been afraid to discover. She took a deep breath and walked toward the gate. 3 years ago, nobody in this family could go a single day without calling her. Now she was about to find out whether they loved her or simply loved what she could give them. Amina had not always been wealthy. At 24, she owned a tiny beauty studio in Kitoli. The salon was so small that customers had to wait outside whenever all the chairs were occupied. Yet people kept coming. Her hands were magic. Women entered looking ordinary and left looking transformed. Soon, word spread throughout the town. But while her clients appreciated her talent, her family appreciated only one thing. Her money. Amina, your brother needs help. Amina, your sister's school fees are due. Amina, the roof is leaking. Amina, send something. Every week came a new emergency. Every month came a new demand. Her mother, Mama Grace, was always the first to call. My daughter, you know family is everything. Amina would smile. Yes, Mama. Then send what you can. And she always did. Even when she barely had enough for herself. Even when she skipped meals. Even when her body screamed for rest. One evening, after working for 14 straight hours, she counted the money she had earned. It wasn't much. Yet before she could even put it away, her phone rang. It was Kelvin. Her older brother. Sis, I found a great business opportunity. Amina closed her eyes. Another one. Kelvin had started 6 businesses in 3 years. Every single one had failed. How much do you need? She asked. Just a little. How much? $2,000. Amina almost laughed. Kelvin, where am I supposed to get that kind of money? You always figure it out. Those words hurt more than he realized. You always figure it out. As if she wasn't human. As if she never struggled. As if money simply appeared in her account. Still, she helped. Because that was what she always did. Months later, everything changed. A wealthy customer named Mrs. Hartwell entered the salon. She watched Amina work for nearly 2 hours. When the appointment ended, she couldn't stop staring. You did this yourself? Yes. Mrs. Hartwell smiled. I know people who would pay a fortune for your skills. Amina laughed nervously. I'm serious. The woman handed her a business card. Call me. That single card changed her life. 3 months later, Amina boarded a plane for Silverbrook. She had never left her country before. She was terrified. Excited. Hopeful. Her family threw her a farewell party. Everyone hugged her. Everyone cried. Everyone promised to support her. Looking back, she realized something. Not one of them had asked how she felt. Not one of them had worried about the challenges ahead. They only talked about what her success would mean for them. The reality of Silverbrook hit hard. The cold felt unbearable. The loneliness felt worse. She shared a tiny apartment with strangers. She worked long hours. Sometimes 16 hours a day. Sometimes 18. There were nights she cried into her pillow. Nights she questioned whether she had made the biggest mistake of her life. Yet every month she sent money home. Without fail. School fees. Rent. Medical bills. Business capital. family celebrations, funeral expenses, wedding expenses. The request never stopped. Neither did Amina. Years passed. Slowly, her sacrifices began paying off. Customers loved her work. Celebrities booked appointments. Social media influencers promoted her business. Her reputation exploded. The tiny salon worker from Kitoli became one of the most sought-after stylists in Silverbrook. Money finally started flowing. For the first time in her life, she felt secure. And that was when things became worse. Not better. Worse. Because success transformed her family. The demands grew bigger. The gratitude disappeared. One morning, her sister Ruth called. I need a car. A car. Yes. You don't even have a driver's license. I'll get one. Amina laughed. Ruth didn't. 3 days later, Mama Grace called. Your sister says you're refusing to help. I bought her a laptop last month. That was last month. Amina stared at the phone in disbelief. Last month. As though generosity expired after 30 days. As though nothing was ever enough. A few weeks later, Kelvin called. I need $50,000. Amina nearly dropped her phone. For what? A real estate project. What happened to the last project? Silence. What happened to the one before that? More silence. Kelvin, you've changed. The accusation hit her like a slap. I've changed. Money has changed you. Amina felt anger rising. She wanted to scream. She wanted to remind him of every sacrifice she had made. Every sleepless night. Every skipped meal. Every dollar she had sent. Instead, she remained silent. After the call ended, she sat alone in her office. For the first time, a question entered her mind. A painful question. A terrifying question. Would they still love me if I had nothing? The thought refused to leave. Day after day, it haunted her. Then one night, after receiving 3 separate requests for money within 2 hours, she finally made a decision. She would stop wondering. She would find out. And the truth she was about to uncover would break her heart more than anything she had ever experienced. Amina returned to Kitoli without telling anyone. For the first time in years, she wasn't dressed in luxury. No designer bags. No jewelry. No expensive shoes. Just a simple dress and an old suitcase she had kept from her early struggling days. She stood outside the gate of the house she had built for them. Her hands trembled. She pressed the doorbell. When Mama Grace opened the door, she frowned immediately. It took her a few seconds to recognize her. Amina. Amina forced a weak smile. Mama, before she could finish, her mother looked her up and down. What is this? Why do you look like this? Amina lowered her head. I came back home. Kelvin appeared behind their mother. He glanced at her suitcase. What happened? Did your European dream crash? Amina nodded slowly. I lost everything. Silence followed. Not shock. Not concern. Just silence. Ruth crossed her arms. So you came back broke? Amina swallowed. Yes. I just need a little help to start again. Even a small loan. I want to open a small salon here. For a moment, nobody spoke. Then Mama Grace sighed loudly. Amina, life has no space for failures. Those words hit her chest like a stone. I'm still your daughter, Amina whispered. Kelvin laughed bitterly. Daughter. You used to be useful. Now you are a problem. Amina's eyes widened. Mama. Her mother avoided her gaze. You should go and figure things out on your own. Amina felt her legs weaken. She had expected discomfort. maybe disappointment. But not rejection. Not this coldness. That night, she was given an old mattress in a storage room. No welcome. No dinner. No questions about her journey. Only distance. Amina lay awake staring at the ceiling. And that was when she heard voices outside the room. Ruth and Mama Grace were talking. She slowly stood up and moved closer to the door. What do we even do with her now? Ruth asked. She has nothing, Mama Grace replied. She is useless like this. Amina froze. She only mattered when she was sending money, Ruth added. Mama Grace sighed. If she has no money, she is not my daughter. Amina's heart stopped. Not my daughter. The words echoed in her mind. Again and again. She slowly pulled out her phone. Her hands were shaking. She pressed record. Every word. Every insult. Every truth they thought she would never hear. The next morning, Amina walked into the living room. Everyone was already there. Kelvin was scrolling through his phone. Ruth was eating breakfast. Mama Grace was sipping tea. Nobody greeted her. Amina stood in the center of the room. I want to ask you something, she said quietly. Kelvin didn't look up. Ask fast. Amina's voice trembled. If I had no money, would you still love me? Ruth scoffed. Why are you asking stupid questions? Amina turned on her phone. She pressed play. The room filled with voices. Their own voices. The insults. The mockery. The rejection. The words useless, failure, and not my daughter echoed through the house. Silence crashed down like a storm. Ruth dropped her spoon. Kelvin froze. Mama Grace's hands shook. That was just anger, she stammered. Amina stared at her. Anger. Tears filled her eyes, but her voice was steady. So everything I sacrificed was for people who don't even see me as family. Kelvin stepped forward. Amina, calm down. We didn't mean it like that. She laughed. A broken laugh. You didn't mean it. Or you didn't think I would hear it. No one answered. Amina wiped her tears. Then she said the final truth. I never lost my business. Shock spread across their faces. I came here to test you. The silence became heavier. I wanted to know if you loved me or my money. Ruth shook her head. This is a joke. Amina continued. I have been successful all along. Nothing changed. Mama Grace stepped forward. My daughter, please. Amina raised her hand. Don't. Her voice broke slightly. I gave you everything I had, and you gave me nothing but conditions. She walked toward the door. I built this house. I paid for everything in it. Kelvin rushed after her. We are family. Amina stopped. She turned slowly. Family doesn't abandon you when you fall. Her voice softened. You all failed my test. She placed the keys on the table. You can keep the house. Mama Grace burst into tears. Amina, please don't leave us. But Amina had already reached the door. She paused one last time. I was never your ATM. I was your daughter. Then she walked out. And this time, she didn't look back. Outside, the wind felt different. Lighter. Free. For the first time in years, Amina could breathe without pain in her chest. Because sometimes, freedom doesn't come from success. It comes from walking away from people who only loved your usefulness. If this story touched you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and comment, I choose myself, if you believe self-respect is more important than toxic family loyalty. Colon, if you want, I can next turn this into